this week was really eventful.
It
Outside
was.
of the world of The Bachelorette, it was eventful. Inside the world of The Bachelorette, it was very eventful. So we have to do a lot of unpacking.
Yeah, well, get me started here. What do you need to talk about here? What do you need to make sense of?
Okay, like all the hype is on Zach's side.
Yeah.
Zach is like all aboard the Z train. Um, that was like the preview of last week. And then obviously near the end, like you kind of see that deteriorating a little bit. But they had like a good little they had a good date. Okay, but first off, before we even get into that, Tasha is starting to grow on me,
Oh,
looks
really?
wise.
Oh, her
I'm starting to
face.
get way more invested into her.
She's a smoke
Um,
show.
and she is a smoke show, and I could totally see myself marrying her. So, um,
You would be great for The Bachelor. Your buy-in on these girls would be so quick. Uh,
yeah, you just have to look at me in a way that I think that you like me, and I'm hooked immediately. So,
yeah, and what she does well is she gives attention to every boy, whereas with Claire, it was so narrowly focused on Dale. Whereas you can tell with Tasha that she's actually at least playing the game or playing the part. But it looks like she cares about a few of them.
yeah, well, I mean, even at like rose ceremonies or after cocktail parties or dates or whatever, like before she hands a rose out, she'll like give a couple of the guys like she'll acknowledge them. She'll be like, "Hey, you're great at this. Like I feel like it's almost as good and as safe as getting a rose."
Yeah, it's like you're the runner
And
up. You don't need to worry about the rose ceremony coming up because I appreciate what you've done it. And yeah,
mhm,
there you have it.
well, unless you're easy, but
Oh
um,
no.
I know we'll get to that in a minute here. Okay, JoJo, tell me about JoJo. She
Um,
replaces Chris Harrison in this
yeah,
one.
JoJo was the Bachelorette a few years ago, and she has the most followers out of anybody in Bachelor Nation. She is actually engaged to Aaron Rodgers' little brother, so that's some full circle stuff. When they did their hometown, which is when the Bachelorette goes to the hometown of the people that they're dating. They go to 4 hometowns. They had an empty seat at the table where Aaron Rodgers would be sitting, and it was such this dramatic thing. And Aaron Rodgers came out and said, also for our non-football listeners, he is the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, which is a team that I love. And yeah, he came out and said, like, this is nonsense, basically. And obviously, I'm not going to go out of my way to be on The Bachelorette and, like, show up for their hometowns. I've got important stuff to do. Anyway, so that's JoJo. But she's in a pretty successful relationship with Jordan Rogers, I guess. They're quite happy.
Right. And hold on. She won the Bachelorette with him?
No. She was The Bachelorette, and then Jordan Rogers won The Bachelor.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, and they've been in a relationship since, but they haven't gotten married yet. And there is speculation that they are bringing her on to see if she could kind of eventually step into the role of Chris Harrison or do more of a hosting job because she does have the largest following in Bachelor Nation. She was the first to go over 2 million Instagram followers, and it seemed pretty much she didn't have a great presence. I'm gonna say, like, she's no Chris Harrison, so I think their little experiment failed. But yeah, that's JoJo for you.
Really? Why did he? So Chris just said he's gone
Yeah,
to go help his like son move into college.
yeah. Well, it's because the whole schedule of The Bachelorette has changed, right? So
Hmm.
normally they would have been filming in like May, June, March, May, June. But they would have been done by summertime, obviously. So he probably had written into his contract, or he told them ahead of time. He's like, yeah, I'll go to La Quinta and stay there in this little lockdown bubble for a while, but I'm taking my son to college. So it was probably something that he had planned ahead of time, and he's just like, this is a non-negotiable, figure it out. So he went. And it's funny, he like mid-season he posted photos on Instagram of him dropping his son off to college, and everyone's like how is this safe that all these guys need to quarantine to come in and you just can leave whenever you want. It was kind of this controversy because he left. So yeah. Bye, Chris.
And is that it for the rest of the season?
No, he'll be back in I think like 2 weeks time. So Georgia's doing this week and next week, and then he should be back after that.
Right, he's got to do the quarantining and stuff, so that's why it'll probably take a little while.
Exactly. I think he only does like a 5-day quarantine with a few tests, but they'll have him back pretty quick.
Suit him up. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways, besides that, one thing I noticed too is that Ben was wearing like this low cut shirt and his collarbones were looking like phenomenal, and I can appreciate a good collarbone on a guy. That was good.
He's into health and fitness, so.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's another thing there's so much like
to unpack. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another crazy little thing. So what? I guess before the date, like I'm just kind of like looking around the room and I'm just trying to like notice because I'm starting to piece together a lot of the information of like either producer influence or like who gets camera time, who doesn't get camera time, and like especially with like this toss up with Easy, like do you? I see Blake and Spencer not getting a lot of time on the screen. But even though I know that Spencer and Tasha like hit it off really well at the beginning, like I know Blake hasn't really done. Blake's probably there for the boys because like.
Yeah, he's there for the lols at this point. Like he made a penis out of clay, and that was his contribution to the art date. So I think at this point they're like, yeah, there's no chance of him and Tasha, but he's good TV. I'm surprised about Spencer because he got the first impression rose and was kind of scandalous at the beginning, and he really fell off the map. So I am surprised about that, and I think it's just kind of a sign that he's not going to stick around for that long.
I hate that because I actually really like him.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, people were saying like they didn't like him, but I got good Spencer vibes. So, anyways, okay, the wedding photo shoot.
So weird.
Super cringy.
Yeah. Loved that guy's shorts though, the photographer. And
yeah, I've got. Sorry, after you.
Well, fun fact is that he has appeared in a prior season. He was the photographer on Nick Vial's season where Corinne Olympios took off her shirt and made Nick feel her up on camera. So he was the photographer for that infamous moment a few seasons ago. Yeah.
So yeah, no, the photographer, the short shorts. I mean, for those who know me, love a good short.
And a
Lululemon Surge 4s, like they're the best in the world. And he was rocking a good pair. And the it looked like not velvet, what do you call it? Like suede purple loafers.
Those
it was pretty
special.
extra.
Yeah, super extra.
Yeah. Yeah, tuxedos didn't fit.
He looked horrible. Could they not have measured him beforehand? Like, what?
Yeah, the only redeeming thing about that whole thing is Tasha's ass looked good in the first dress. That was about it. What I like about Zach though is like he's just super natural, and he just is calm. Like he just doesn't seem out of place. Like they hit it off really well.
Yeah, well, she kind of has this very bubbly energy, and he just has this centered thing about him. And probably someone who's done a lot of work on themselves and has been to as much rehab as he has probably has those skills. So, spoiler alert about him. But yeah, I could see how that would be a good match.
Yeah, I like his cut.
Mm-hmm.
And then he threw down his PTC today.
Yes, very good.
That was good. So Zach had a brain tumor, and then he was like, he left the hospital. He was on medication, and that parlayed into a little bit of addiction problems.
Don't forget that he got married in there. This was not just a PTC; it was a marathon of events. It is the most extreme sequence of traumatic events we've ever seen. And again, PTC from Game of Roses podcast. Borrowed that from them. It means traumatic event or tragedy kind of thing. Anyways, but yeah, it was a marathon. It was insane.
Yeah, no, and he doesn't carry himself like he would do that at all. But
Well,
it's crazy.
it's because it
Zach's
happened like 15 years ago. He's 38, I think. So
right.
he's moved on in his life because all of that happened in his early 20s. So
Zach's in their early 20s. They party, do drugs, get DUIs, and they settle down all within that time frame. It's like they move really, really fast, and then they're like really, really slow after that. So
it seems on brand for
it's very on brand for the Zachs in the world. So yeah, he did rehab. He has his demons and he addressed them. And
He
I think
stole
that's like
a check from his dad and went to go cash it. So there's theft in there as well. He got a divorce. Like, oh man.
I think it was after a year too.
Yeah, quick. Well, because he had said he was being selfish and was going partying and things like that. So that's not a very successful foundation for a relationship or a marriage if you're going out partying all the time. So that did not work.
Mm-hmm. So I think he's gonna be a good long-term fix because like I truly believe that those who know where the line is have crossed it, and so he's got a very good eye for how he can handle himself in situations, and he's done everything. He's not going to be a problem at all moving forward.
Well, yeah, he's a adult man. Like that's what's so nice about bringing adults onto the show rather than these 24-year-olds who basically still live at home. They still have a lot of trauma and tragedy yet to come in their life, whereas people like Zach have already experienced that. They have it out of their system. So I like to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, very true. I guess that kind of translates into the whole Noah thing. Like, I just know Noah is going to go nowhere. Especially, I threw him a bone like 2 episodes ago when we talked. Because, like, I liked what he did. He came in and he was, like, brave and fought for her. But now, with this whole Bennett Noah situation, it's just like...
Well, we'll get to that, but let's wrap up Zach before we can get overwhelmed with that, because that's a whole different thing on its own. So what were your overall impressions of Zach and Tayshia, their connection? Do you think his PTC just marathon, did that work out well for him? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it worked out for him. I think there's a lot of dudes with their PTC, and we'll talk about like every one of those in the next.
Everyone threw out their PTC.
Yeah, very popular. So I thought that was all pretty interesting, but like, I think they already have such a strong connection, and they just totally got to know each other on a deeper level, and so that kind of solidifies that. But what you look for next week, like, I don't know, it's so weird, and you just don't know what is happening now. Like, everything was just thrown up in the air, and it's so unpredictable.
Yes, so we'll get to the preview later, but now onto the group date, where they had they walk in and they see 2 people butt naked, and the first thing everyone thinks is, am I going to have to get naked on this show again? Poor Blake. He's like, this would be the 3rd time I have to get completely nude on this show. What did I sign up for here? But luckily, that was not the case.
Yeah, well, Blake's got it. I'm a big Blake fan. Again, like we mentioned, he's great TV. He's there for the boys. That's his shtick. But I hope he goes far.
Yeah, I'm not optimistic.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, but what I liked about Blake is during that group date is he got serious, and we haven't seen Blake get serious at all.
Well, so we have if you watch the Claire portion. He was a lot more serious when Claire was around.
Really? Was he really?
Yeah, oh, totally. He was like interrupting dates, and he was yeah, just getting really emotional with her and trying to open up. So it's interesting. We really haven't seen a lot of him with Tasha. But yeah, he played much bigger role in Claire's portion.
Oh wow.
You're gonna have to go back and watch it.
I might have to go do that and get maybe there's like a sped up version of the show
Watch it
that
on
I could
double
watch the
time.
three
Yeah.
episodes. Yeah. So what Bennett did, Bennett's cheeky. I've
So
definitely
cheeky.
Bennett was like at the top of my list. Now he's gone. Like I don't see him anywhere near
Yeah,
relevant anymore.
he made a huge foul in my opinion, and I am kind of grossed out by him now. I did not love how he went in and approached her and just started kissing her without her consent. And yeah, it was just giving me huge creepy vibes. It did not love it, and it knocked off major points for me because I used to be a Bennett stan, and now I am not into it.
Yeah, the how he's fixated on Noah is just like that just sucks.
Yeah, it's
And then
weird.
he especially got another level because he's like corny in like a romantic funny way, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like especially robotic, and and I just couldn't. I can't. I just can't. I won't. I shan't
I
with
know in
him.
this game or in this show you need to be very bold, but like like in the future we're gonna have the 2-on-1, and initially I thought that Bennett was going to prevail, but I think after that unsolicited kissing situation, I'm sure she's just like, ugh, got the ick about him right now, because I would have hated that. No one wants that.
I
Even
mean,
if you're like down for the guy, it's still kind of weird. You're in a room full of people, and so I'm not optimistic for him either now.
well, flip it. If a girl was okay, if I was blindfolded and a girl just like kissed me, I would be like, oh my god, that's so exciting. That's so fun.
Really?
I don't know. I think I don't know. It's probably different. I speak for myself.
Yes,
I would be stoked. I'd be like, hell yeah, hell yeah.
I guess. It's just a
But
room full of people, and
it's
like especially if you're not like, she's obviously more into other people, let's say.
yeah,
So just know your audience, Bennett.
yeah. That was weird. Like,
Super
chill out.
weird. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, um, yeah. Bennett sucks.
Yes.
Blake's the penis thing that was great. Um, Brendan, I love Brendan. Brendan won it for me.
Yeah. Super creative.
She ate that up,
Oh yeah.
and who wouldn't? That was so creative and smart, and he's just a total sweetheart. I love that.
Yeah, well, and later you'll see that when they're having their little sit down, she was like you totally won. Like she basically said like you had me with the picture frame. Like if everyone hadn't unloaded every single traumatic event that's ever happened in their life where she couldn't single one of them out, I think Brendan would have won. She's obsessed with him.
Yeah, no, I see. He's gonna be fine. Um, and that was just smart. Like that was just so smart. I thought.
Mm-hmm. Definitely more so than making a dick. What the heck? Come on. What a
Yeah.
bro. Like,
Blake's a bro.
he's
Blake
such a
is.
bro. A little hockey bro. Like,
Yeah.
ugh. Yeah.
Where is he from? He's from Toronto.
Well, my boyfriend's sister's boyfriend worked with him in Muskoka, which is in Ontario. So I don't know if he's from Toronto, but like the Ontario region, I suppose. I think he might live in his parents' cabin in Muskoka, which
Right.
was
GTA.
which is interesting to hear that he has come from sort of a stressful home life, because I heard that his parents are loaded. So, but I guess you can still have cops coming to the house even if your parents are loaded. That was surprising.
Mo money, mo problems.
Yes, but now everyone's unloading every single horrible thing that's ever happened in their life. I think the date leader, that artist chick, kind of front loaded them by saying, you need to be vulnerable. And they all take that as like, this is my time to shine. I'm going to stand out. But little did they know that every single person was going to try and one up the other. And I found it so funny with Riley, aka Romeo, with his picture that has just like clouds and it's blue or whatever. And then he has this like completely unrelated story about how his mom called him and he was telling him how he just wants to be home with his child and how he never got that when he was growing up. And I'm like, what does this have to do with your picture, buddy? But I think he just like needed to start sharing because everybody else was. But very intense. What an intense guy.
It was a PTC vessel.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
And then we had the grand finale of Ben. Another extremely violating thing, but for some reason it worked with Tayshia. So what were your thoughts about, like, set the scene for our listeners here about Ben's dramatic finale?
So I think what's important to understand about Ben is that he is like a quintessential dude. Like he's such a guy to the core, because he's mentioned that he has emotions, he doesn't know how to show them. He's just kind of like broken in that way. And that to me was super authentic, where he's like, dude, I don't know how to like really address how I feel, because that's a problem that a lot of guys have. And so he just I thought it was ridiculous at first, but it was just like, it was smart in a simple way, just to get naked. That's like super vulnerable. And the backstory to that he explained to Tayshia was smart, right? Like that made sense.
Yeah, and the brilliance of this move is that, so as I explained last week, I think at some point in the episode, everyone needs to reveal their PTC in order to get that sort of sympathy from Tayshia. So if you're on a one-on-one date, they can't not give you the date rose, because I just explained that my parents were fighting all the time. So it's like a sympathy thing. So the brilliance of this move is that Ben didn't play his PTC in front of everyone. He did a vulnerable thing in a different way. And then when he gets that one-on-one time with her, that's when he reveals his true PTC of having an eating disorder for 15 years. And the result of that is he gets rewarded with the rose. So I think it was super clever, and it definitely paid off for him.
Yeah, 100%. That's a very good outlook on it. And that's what was unique. And he was able to open up, and you could see how genuine he was with his issues, especially kind of just like, I get it. I mean, I was there. I was the fat kid. Like
When were you the fat kid?
I had the. Well, I mean, high school was a little bit different, but like even after, when I like lived in England, came back, and then even in elementary school, like I've always had, and beyond that, but no one's listening to my PTC now, so we won't. But I get it. Like I can get where his perspective is coming from, and I can like relate to him as a guy on how hard it is to really open up like that.
Yeah, completely.
And that's difficult, and you could see how hard that was for him on that one-on-one.
Yeah, but you have to do it. And I think he said that only his sister knew about it. So he's opening up to the entire world. But honestly, I think he's like, guys don't talk about eating disorders in the same way. Like girls were kind of used to hearing about it, and like you can tell a friend and then you get help. But I think guys, it's a lot more stigmatized for guys, I think, because guys are supposed to want to be big and strong. So why would you not be eating, or why would you be, having bulimia? So I think it was super brave and destigmatizing that he's talking about this on a national level, that maybe it'll help somebody in the future that like, oh, look, this guy was had an eating disorder for 15 years and he overcame it. And like, I wonder what his process is. And maybe if you go to his Instagram, he will, talk about it and advocate for recovery and help. And I think that was really cool, because you don't see that a whole lot.
Yeah. really rad. I liked that, and it's something that's not talked about a whole lot. So
Yeah. But he just gives really genuine vibes. Like it really seems like he is super into her and his sole objective is to be with Tasha. And I think it's super sweet. Although I personally wouldn't go for him, but she seems to like him.
who would you go for?
Ooh, oh, I haven't even thought of that, actually. Oh, you know what? I last week, Joe, the anesthesiologist, he was my favorite.
Joe's great.
Joe's great, and like I probably would have gone for Bennett up until this week. I should have seen the signs. Yeah, I don't know. Who would you go for?
Tasha.
Oh, well,
Okay, here's who I like. Here's who I like. Like, what to marry or just who I like for
who would
Tasha?
who would you marry if you were into
Who would
men?
I marry?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Uh,
I'm trying to think who.
Chasen, definitely Chasen.
Chasen? You guys
Yeah,
would get along so well.
No. How about I think Ed, because we have to keep the Jewish thing going.
Is he Jewish?
I think Ed's Jewish. I mean, like I think I've just given I've kind of just branded him as that. I think he looked like it to me once, and I was like, he's definitely Jewish. Let's confirm this.
My boyfriend is convinced that that Zach is Jewish.
He looks Eastern European.
Yeah, I don't know.
He could be an Eastern European Jew, but so Ed, his last name is Weisbrot.
Oh, wow.
Waisbrot. So like,
it sounds like they could be Mennonite too, like me.
Weisbrot? Is that? Oh, Mennonite.
Oh, he's German, right?
Yeah, could be. He just look at his side profile when you get a chance, and just like tell me and report back to me.
I will.
But he definitely, Chasen's got a point. He definitely needs to hit leg day a little bit more though.
Oh yeah, he dedicates so much time to his upper body. Like just spend a few moments on your legs. Okay, what's Zach C's last name?
Clark.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the whitest thing I've ever heard. So.
Yeah. Father, his mother's probably Eastern European.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what do I know? Definitely.
This is actually, we're sponsored by 23andMe.
Link in our bio.
Yeah, exactly.
20% off for this holiday season.
That's the one. Buy it for a friend.
Okay. So you would go with Ed. That makes sense. Ivan has some really good qualities too. However, I think he cries too much. I know that's bad of me to say toxic masculinity, or the opposite of that, I guess. Yeah, he cries a little bit too much, but he seems very sweet.
Yeah, your toxic femininity is showing.
I know, I'm so bad.
Shame.
Yeah, but definitely Joe was the sweetest. And he's been getting a lot of attention. Like Lauren Zima, who is the girlfriend of Chris Harrison, actually, has done a whole interview series with him talking about how great he is. So he's been getting quite popular. And he definitely seems very for the right reasons. She's like, do you want to go on like Bachelor in Paradise or something? And he's like, hopefully by then I won't have to go on because I'll have a girlfriend or something. So I think he's older, so he's impatient. He just doesn't want to date those like 26-year-old chicks from the Bachelorette. He wants to have a real relationship, and it's quite sweet.
That's just so wholesome.
So wholesome. Anyway, so we finish up the group date. Do you have any final thoughts on the group date?
No, like I mean, it was a good moment, and it obviously got to Tash, and she had a good cry about it. And fair, that's a lot of information, and it makes it really hard when you have a lot of people that open up to you, and then you get to know them on a different level, and then you have to upset people.
You have to upset 99% of them because only one of them wins. So
yeah.
Okay, and then we move on to the next one-on-one date with Easy. I was optimistic going into this date, I've got to say. I think he has a good presence on screen in spite of his sexual assault allegations out and about. He's been given a really good edit. The producers seem to like him, and they go on this ridiculous haunted house date. So what were your thoughts on that?
That was just a full 10-15 minutes of producer cringe,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got nothing really to say about it other than it's La Quinta Hotel and Club, man. It's a ghost hunting resort. What else are you gonna do there?
Apparently, the ghost stories are real, though.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
it is actually considered haunted, or some people might think that it's haunted. So that, I mean, there's some bit of fact to what they're doing, but yeah, they're doing their best, and it's not good. And I thought he came out with his "I'm falling in love with you" or whatever in the dinner portion, and I think it was too soon. Like, I know you have to be bold and have these like really vulnerable conversations, but I think she could see right through it and be like, this guy, like, this doesn't make any sense, and it did not work for her. So what were you thinking? Did you think he was going to be safe, or were you surprised by the outcome?
So surprised
Yeah.
because like you've seen them before, right? Like they always got along, and they had something, and you saw that,
Yeah.
and that was just like a whoa kind of moment. Like it just did not see it coming. So like everything that I was kind of expecting to happen changed, and for the rest of the next 2 weeks, like I don't know what's gonna happen at all
It's like
because
in
I
Game of Thrones when they kill off someone who's a central part of the role, and you're like, wait, what? Nobody's safe now. Anyone can just get slashed.
do you think that like do you think like the allegations had something to do with his early dismissal?
No, because he made it far enough in the game. And I think they're just really stretching for drama to happen on the show at this point. And also, if the sexual assault allegations were involved, they would not have featured him so prominently. They wouldn't have given him a good edit. They would have really just covered up his footprint on the show entirely. So no, I think it had nothing to do with it. I think at this point they're trying to create drama and intrigue however they can. So by throwing this little what's the word? Curveball.
Curveball, great word.
Curveball. This is also a sports podcast. Listen to Football Friends. Uh, by throwing that little curveball, it's kind of keeping the audience on their toes. But additionally, when he comes out and says that I'm falling in love with you, she so clearly doesn't feel that way that he kind of gives her no choice but to let him go at that point, because it's just awkward going forward. So I think if he had kept that to himself, then maybe he would have had a chance to stay on like a friendly basis. But they're all like, everyone's gonna leave except for Brandon, basically. So if you give them an opportunity to have second thoughts about you, you're gone. So he executed that very poorly, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, now he's gone. And
Yeah.
that's it.
And it's
And
sad,
now I
yeah.
don't know what's happening, and everything is so unpredictable and it's scary, and I don't know if I'm gonna watch the rest of the season because like
Oh,
I just
that's
don't want to
not
see
true.
any of my I want to see any of my boys go home. Like Blake
That's
can't go
not.
home. Blake's not allowed to go home.
Follow them on Instagram. And then you
No,
can
no, 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 no.
follow them forever.
Yeah. And then it helps their numbers and da 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 da. Makes sense.
Well, I was just thinking more for your emotional health, being able to see these people that you've grown with.
That I've grown with.
Yeah, that you're so
Yeah,
attached to now.
I am. Change really stresses me out, so I have to be I have to follow them. Um yeah, I thought that was pretty wild, and I don't know what's happening. I mean, we right after this, like we've just been kind of left on a huge cliffhanger with what's happening. So like they kind of like goes in like obviously the suitcase, because what do? They pack the suitcases before one-on-ones.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, although when Zach C had his date, he packed his beforehand, and there is that little scene of him rolling his suitcase to the door as to indicate that maybe I'll be going home after this. And if you look back, you'll watch it roll on the floor. There's nothing in that suitcase. I made my boyfriend and I watched it back like 3 times so I could show, like, look, it is not even like bursting at the seams. Look how lightly it floats across the floor. There's nothing in that suitcase. So I think it's more a symbol, and they can probably go back and pack their stuff later, or it's somewhere else, their bags. But there is always the thought that if I don't get a rose on this date, I will be going home. So that's lingering in the air.
Right. Got you. Okay.
But that just really bothered me when Zachary rolled his bag. I'm like, there's nothing in there.
I'm actually gonna watch. That's gotta. Okay, that's just right before his one-on-one.
Yes, it was right before his one-on-one.
Good eye.
I know.
Smart.
Super anal about these things. But yeah, so his stuff leaves. Everyone is shocked because at the beginning they had that qualifier of, oh, like they have such a good connection, the most natural connection out of anyone. But I guess that's just the way that Easy is. He's just a light and fluffy guy. So, anyways, that's done. And then the cocktail party happens where Tayshia is needing to get to the bottom of Bennett and Noah. And this had to be the highlight of the episode for me. Bennett getting ready with his little gift. What were you like anticipating before this? Were you excited or like meh about it? Or your predictions?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the week before, I thought it was definitely going to be in Bennett's favor, not in Noah's, but the episode reveals that Bennett's just a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
I just was anticipating. You explained a 2-on-1 to me. So one person goes home. I thought it was Noah. It's definitely got to be Bennett because that little present package that he gave to Noah with the tie, and then or the socks.
The bandana and the book.
Yeah, the book on emotional intelligence. You're deficient in 3 out of the 4 categories of emotional intelligence. And I'm not saying this to insult you or condescending, but like, and I was like, Bennett, shut up, dude.
I know, it's too much.
that was so cringy. How much of that is producer induced?
He just doesn't order a book. I think that was all him. Because I've been listening to him on other podcasts, and he has talked about that book on podcasts because he they had to quarantine for 2 weeks leading up to it, and he's like, oh yeah, I brought a book on emotional intelligence. I actually found it really, really helpful. So it's interesting, like thinking back to that. He was probably alluding to this big moment where he has a showdown with Noah, and he was trying to, help this young guy, but he just comes off like a total wiener during it.
Oh, massive wiener mode. I don't know. I know if I mean he's young and I kind of get that. It's a little bit intimidating, and especially because like how Bennett kind of how he speaks can come off as a little bit intimidating. But if you just kind of like you can see through it, like he's just a schmuck, and it's when it comes to the emotional intelligence thing, it's funny, it's ironic, and it's about self-awareness, and there you have Bennett just completely not self-aware of where he is at all or how he's coming across to everyone. So I think it's all quite funny.
It is quite funny. I do think, I guess this is a lack of self-awareness, but I think he thinks that he was being helpful. Because he's probably right. He's probably, from what he's observed, this 25, 26-year-old dude has a lot of growing to do. And some of the things that he's said where it's like, yeah, he admitted himself that he's been growing this whole time. And he's like, do you think that you're going to get better in life by staying the exact same way that you are? No, you need to improve and grow. But I think he could have just left it with the bandana and the socks and not launched into this whole condescending speech. So
yeah, well, I mean, he feels like he's helping, and I don't think you're not. It's not you not being self-aware. It's just like how you come across in conversation or how to get what you want. And Bennett is just actively doing things to get himself kicked off the show for just being arrogant.
Yeah,
That's
well,
it.
in other seasons they've had these types of feuds where they're trying to kind of pit two people against each other. And actually, Hannah Brown and Kaylin Miller Keyes had this thing a few seasons ago. Hannah Brown, of course, going on to be the most beloved Bachelorette of all time, so much so that they were going to ask her to come on for a second season after her engagement didn't work out. But what they did is they sat down and they just squashed the beef, and they had a little truce. They had a little moment so that they didn't have to have that 2-on-1 moment where one of them was going to go home. It was just, no, we've sorted this out on our own and we're fine. We actually don't need to have a showdown moment because like everything's good. And if both Noah and Bennett wanted to stay on the show, that's what they should have done. But like in so many cases, their egos get the best of them, and they need to prove that they're better than the other. So they want to have this showdown. As Bennett says, he thrives under pressure. He excels under pressure. So he was very much looking forward to it.
Well, he put himself under a ton of pressure now, so they just, the producers just are edging us for an entire week, so we don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah, but it's pretty obvious, especially when you think of the previews that we've seen in the past. We've seen more previews of Noah than have been shown thus far, if that makes sense. Like there's content of him like getting ready in the bathroom that we haven't seen so far, and maybe it's a fake out, but to me that indicates that he still has more left on the show.
It's called a fake out.
Oh yeah, the producers will try and fake you out. No, a few seasons ago, Colton, the Bachelor, he had footage of him in a tuxedo holding a box, like a ring box, and he never even got close to getting engaged. He left with someone as his girlfriend still, but they had that footage ready and they put it in the show so that we think that it will get to the point where he's going to engage or get engaged. The complete fake out.
Wow.
The producers.
Conniving. Very interesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. So your predictions on it? I mean, I've said what I think about who's going to prevail, but who do you think is going to win?
So, okay, before we do that, do we know how many roses they get in the next ceremony? Because that'll help me like determine.
I mean, I'm sure we could figure it out, but I don't know.
Blake, from how it appears to me, Bennett gets sent home on the 2-on-1. I think Blake, Spencer, like Riley's gonna probably make it through to the next round, and like that kind of is annoying to me because like I'm not a big Riley fan.
Sorry, I was only asking who you thought was gonna win between Bennett and Noah, but I just keep going. Go for it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, no, Bennett's going home. Period. Yeah. And they kind of alluded to it a little bit with the whole, what's this present? Like Tasha's just like,
what's in the box?
What's in the box?
Well, and you know that was also a bit of a fake out too, because when she says that, it's a Frankenbite. Like you don't see her lips saying that. It was from an ITM or something she said off camera, but it's not from that moment. It was just a dramatic thing that they played over that scene.
How do you know that? What the hell?
Because if you don't see their mouths saying it, then you can't trust it, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be a nice showdown. It sounds like she's not going to be impressed with whatever's in the box, but I love to see how Bennett plays it off.
Yeah. Well, like we said, he put himself under a lot of pressure, and that's where he thrives.
He does best under pressure. I don't know about the other guys, though. Who's going to go home? Maybe we've seen enough of Ed. He hasn't really done much.
That'd be great if Ed goes home. That would just at the beginning of the episode. At the beginning of the episode, he literally just was sitting there and judging people. But like he just gets no time. He's over. Like I don't know.
Yeah, maybe Damar too. We don't see much of Damar. He hasn't opened up.
Oh yeah, right, Demar.
Yeah,
What the hell? I like Demar
bye.
too.
Yeah, he's cool. He's a spin instructor. And that was another fake out from Chris Harrison. Is that I was listening to interviews from before the show, and someone's like, "Oh, like who should we look out for in the cast?" And he's like, I think he said look out for Blake, that he is pretty interesting, and then also Damar, like, yeah, keep an eye on him. And he's done literally nothing this whole time. So that was just a fake out from Chris Harrison.
I think top three from right now, from how it looks. I think top three is the first one is Ivan.
Okay.
I think Ivan's gonna go top three. I think, um, I don't think Zach's gonna get there.
Okay.
I think Spencer's gonna get there. That's wishful thinking.
Yeah, I think you're
Uh,
wrong.
Spencer, Ivan, and Ben.
What about Brendan, silly?
You know what? I like Brendan a lot, and I think if I'm going for an upset right now, I think it's gonna be Spencer over Brendan.
That's the worst take you've ever had on this show. Spencer over Brendan? What?
Like he said, Spencer is crushing on Tasha. I think he's a dark horse kind of guy. I think we're just gonna wait and see. I think Zach's gonna get sent home in the later rounds. I think Brendan, and I like Brendan a lot. He's a super sweet guy, but like there's between Ivan and Brendan, because they're both quite similar. Like they're both quite like docile human beings. I think for the show, I think it would be Ivan over Brendan. I think Spencer's gonna snake his way. He's snaky.
I'm here to tell you that there's a 0% chance Spencer. I don't even think Spencer's going to make it past next week, honestly. And I would bet you, but I know you wouldn't take my bet.
No, yeah, you know what? It's like, can you do? Am I serious about that? It's like, you know what? I'm a upset kind of guy, and we had Ed stay. We've had a couple weird things happen, and with Easy going home, like,
Well, they're trying to build, the producers of the show are trying to provide a narrative. They want to show a love story so that by the end of the season, we've bought into their narrative and we want to see this couple succeed, or we want to hate this guy, Noah. And they just haven't put any time or attention or any investment into Spencer whatsoever. So why would they? How could he end up with Tasha if they've given him zero airtime?
they did when he came off that for that second round. He came off. He did well, and I think he's gonna like it. I'm kind of noticing a little pattern. It goes like some people get more screen time, and then it kind of goes down a little bit,
And then they get kicked off.
and well, then if that's the case, like Ivan, who was a stud last week, got like not a lot of time this week.
Still got more than Spencer. With his little puzzle piece thing that he made and crying about his dad having cancer and everything. Spencer's done nothing. I would bet like $1,000 it won't be him.
Blake with his turtle doves. I thought it was so funny.
It was so funny when I was talking with my boyfriend and I'm like thinking, what is he going to do for his portrait? I'm like, I bet he does like a falcon or something because he's a big eagle lover or something. And of course he draws a bird. Not surprising at all. Anyways, I love your commitment to Spencer, and I just have to tell you you're wrong, and I'm sorry to disappoint you like that. It's going to be
All right.
Brandon. I can see Ben and who's the guy who went to rehab? I think she really likes
Zach.
I think she really likes Zach. And I think
there's going to be some drama though, because I think
yes.
she doesn't like his past.
His past, exactly. That leads to our preview for next week, where we find out, or they do lie detector tests, and it is indicated that Zach C is a bit of a cheater. And if you listen back to 1 or 2 episodes ago where I talk about how creepy he is, I mean, I guess I'm good at kind of calling these things. I mean, some people might not think cheating is creepy, but I do.
Fair. Totally.
Yeah. I could be wrong, though. Maybe he's not a cheater, and maybe that was just them dropping a few things in there. But what I said a few episodes ago is that he's probably fine, but I would not be surprised if I found out something creepy about him. It wouldn't throw me off at all.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. But, like, who... those are a lot of good-looking guys. I don't know. I don't know, like, how many of those guys...
Wait, are you worried that they're all... No, let's unpack this.
I just have I don't know how much of producer influence they'll have, that segment will have, but, like, there's no ways that 90% of those guys getting those tests have not cheated on a girlfriend.
Well, maybe they're not asking everyone. Maybe they're only asking the people that they know have, I guess. And then everyone else who hasn't revealed that in their prior interviews. Because the producers, they had 2 weeks of quarantine where the only person they're allowed to talk to is producers. And they just, like, dig into your brain and they find all your deepest, darkest secrets. Maybe some people kept that to themselves. I'm sure that if Zach is a cheater, he probably brought that up with one of the producers, and now they're asking about it because they know it's a storyline. I think it's pretty easy not to cheat. I don't know.
Yeah, no, like, now it is. Now it's fine, but, like, when you're younger and you're naive and you're probably looking like one of those guys, and you have flocks of turtle doves coming your way. I actually typed in what a turtle dove is, and, like,
they're monogamous. Yeah, so they wouldn't be cheating.
Oh yeah, okay, there you go. Representing innocence, purity, and enduring love, turtle dove lore throughout the ages is well documented. No,
so they would not be cheating on their turtle dove partner.
Okay, so no turtle dove partner. That was an awful. So you're telling me I butchered the prediction.
Yeah, you're wrong.
And I butchered the symbolism of turtle doves.
But now this is what we're here for: is you're learning.
Right. I am learning about how the show works. Maybe next season I'll nail it. Maybe I nail it this season, and then I look great.
Yeah, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but I highly doubt it.
There we go. Do they have, like, brackets or stuff? Like, I know they do brackets for Love Island.
I think they do fantasy football kind of thing, or a pool. Like, they would have, like, survivor pools where you would pick your winners at the beginning. So surely they have something like that for the Bachelorette.
Oh, that's so interesting.
I know. We'll do one next year, or we'll do it for Matt James's season. So excited.
Oh yeah, maybe do you want to, like, fill me in? Is he from a different season? Like, what's his shtick?
You don't know about Matt James?
I don't know about the Bachelorette.
The Bachelor. So he is best buddies with one from a former contestant, and he is. So that's Tyler C. And he is the most beloved contestant of all time, I would say. He has the largest following. He dated Gigi Hadid. Like, he's big time, yeah. So attractive. If I could date anyone in Bachelor Nation, if you're asking before, it'd be him. He's the best. What's her nose? Hannah B referred to him as, like, our respectful king. He's just a respectful king. But yeah, so Matt James is one of his best friends and was kind of active on his social media. So he has this presence and kind of people know about him. And then there was that whole Black Lives Matter thing where they needed to have a black bachelor immediately. So they're like, who better than Matt James? And actually, Matt James was initially cast to be on this season and to be on Claire's season, which would have been ridiculous. They're not a good match at all. But the obvious intention behind that was that they wanted to have him on the show in the franchise so that they could bring him in to be the bachelor eventually. So, because that's normally what happens is like 100% of the time, except for like years ago, they pick the new bachelor or bachelorette from the pool of past contestants. So they were
Right.
planning on doing that with Matt, but since the Black Lives Matter thing happened and it was all dramatic, they just came out and did it right away because they needed to address that instantly. So that's Matt James. But he is, yeah, it just seems like a really cool guy. Seems athletic. He's handsome. He has a charity. He's Republican. Well, like obviously, but that's who they're playing to in their base, right? Is that they don't want to like go full frontal right away and like scare the grandmas out there, which is like a horrible thing to say, but this is the franchise that we're working with, right?
I love it. That's good. It's an interesting take. That's totally fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do when we're done this, I'll probably look into him a little bit. I want to see like more about him. I think that's way more interesting. I just know he's got cheese grater abs and he swings an axe around and he's handsome and tall and he would be the kind of guy that looks like a power bottom. So
What?
yeah, all the work from the bottom, baby. That's how he does it. He's a king.
He is a king. He's
Yeah.
the perfect bachelor. He is fantastic. And the bachelor seasons, my boyfriend likes those a lot more when there's a bunch of women around because the women tend to be so dramatic. It's just like, oh, I guess like this stupid drama that these boys come up with is equally as ridiculous, but the girl drama, I think it's just funnier. And they wear like pretty dresses and stuff, and they put on makeup. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it. And also,
I think
sorry, the resort and everything that is, it looks way better than La Quinta. La Quinta looks so boring. They're at this nice big resort with lots of fun things to do. It's going to be just generally improved.
did you know that you can get on Cyber Monday, you could have got a ticket to Mexico for $200 Canadian.
Oh yeah, they had like half off sales. I mean, right now it's only $360 to go there, but
Like, isn't that? Oh my god.
no, what was it? Air Canada is doing a half. They did a half off sale, so you could have gone like many places for cheap. And yeah, we were looking at tickets, and Alex was like, "No, we're doing it. We're doing it now." I'm like, I don't want to commit to this right at this moment. Like, I was having a hard enough time buying a ski jacket. I was trying to buy a ski jacket on Cyber Monday. I'm like, there's so much pressure. I need to buy it before midnight. So then he wanted me to pick up a destination for spring break in like half an hour. Not gonna happen.
That's pretty sweet. I need hot weather. I'm slowly melting away in my
No, it's the
dingy
worst. But it's like
northwest coast.
$350 to go now. You don't need to quarantine when you get there. You just need to quarantine when you're back. And also, quarantine is going to be only 10 days when you're back now. Well, I mean, they haven't announced that in Canada yet, but surely they'll adopt that soon.
Yeah, I think some airlines are also offering like tests on flight and
Not
little
to
things like
Canada,
that.
only if you're going to Calgary and you still need to stay in Calgary for 14 days afterwards. So you might not have to quarantine, but it's not like you can come into Calgary, take that test, and then continue on to Vancouver. You have to stay in Calgary, unfortunately. But when you're going to other places, they let you do that. Like when you go to Hawaii, you can avoid it by getting a test. Like, why haven't we figured this out for Vancouver? We're a very developed country.
We're oppressed here. It's brutal in northwest Canada, Vancouver, Victoria. It's
Really
really
cold.
yeah, it's really cold. I need melatonin, not melatonin. I need melanin stat
And vitamin D.
and vitamin D. Okay, well,
I just took a left turn again.
yeah, here we are. We're into the
Yeah.
next week, and it's gonna basically open up with the whole Noah Bennett thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rose ceremony. So, toodles, Bennett.
Yeah, see ya. See ya later. And then we're going to get some more PTCs with these, the lie detector tests, Brendan's saying that he might not be ready to get engaged because it's so soon, which is a entirely normal and valid response, and it'd be weird if you didn't think it was too soon. So that's fine. But I think that's going to upset Taish because she's a big fan.
Yeah, he's playing a little hard to get. I like that.
Yeah, that's a great move.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I think it's not a good move for the Bachelorette, but since she's already into him, it could pay off.
Yeah. She's got to do a little bit of work on him. She gets to be lazy, and everyone's got to do the work for her, so.
Yeah.
No rest for the wicked. Gotta play your PTC.
Exactly. Maybe next week we'll play our PTCs. Who knows?
Ooh.
I need to think of one because my life has been so easy.
Oh, hey,
Actually, no, I have some. You've got enough for all of us.
Yeah.
No, I have.
You get a PTC. You get a PTC.
I have funny PTCs that just like weird stuff that have happened that I don't know if I can share. But looking forward to next week, and also our football podcast that we will record at another time and release at another time because we're both sleepy.
Yeah. Also, we're dropping YouTube this weekend.
Are
doing
we?
Instagram soon. I'm gonna upload everything.
Nice.
I'm making the channel. We're gonna do Instagram. We have a solid base of people. We have about 100 downloads in the first 3 weeks. That's
actually
great.
pretty good when you say it that way.
Yeah. So I think this is great, and I'm happy, and I am really enjoying this, and this platform will just grow. And I actually think that's all I have to say. I had nothing else to say. I just
Sometimes you think.
Sometimes I think.
Rarely. Actually, no,
Barely.
you've been thinking all day really hard, so I'm actually quite pleased that you had enough energy to do this. But it's not using too much brain power. That's why we decided to do the Bachelorette one and not the football one, because the football one I needed to use my brain, and I'm not ready for that right now.
Okay, and the football week is bananas too.
Oh,
Week
I know.
12
It's
goes down in
chaos.
history as the craziest
Chaos. It's chaos.
chaotic cock energy.
I was thinking of that and mayhem at the same time, and then because the name of our Google Doc is like week 12 was mayhem, because it was crazy. So I can't wait for that one, but just not right now. And I need to research it all a lot more, and it'll be epic. It's gonna be so good.
Banana land.
Okay, here's, I'll let you go. But thanks for sitting down with me today.
Of course, every week. See you then.
Every week. Okay, bye.
Bye.